Okay.
A true programmer concerned with user friendliness.
Alright, I think it's live again. Let me just refresh my stream page and see if I can see myself streaming. Okay, yeah, it's totally live. Well, not the match, my stream. We're still waiting for somebody to connect from Flow. Wonderwall looks like.
So gpit's a map we've had our ups and downs with, from losing 2 in a row in our open playoffs run to having it being the only map we actually were comfortable on an invite.
Yeah, well, we learned a lot back in the day about gpit between those 2 seasons. Or more like as a result of watching the demos. I was actually hoping that the match we just casted was on gpit because I wanted to cast gpit, so it's kind of nice. Get some gpit in tonight.
Your wish has been granted.
Yeah. Oh wait, Flo has 6 people. Is Wonderwall not playing? Ruin, Shrugger, Harblue. Okay, Seagull's back up. Right. Seagull's playing for him.
Kind of interesting that it got scheduled on a Monday, yet they're using a backup.
Yeah, I mean, they have plenty of time to reschedule, but hey, maybe Flo's just confident. And I mean...
Or maybe they're too nice, like we were. Sure, we'll reschedule and play with a backup for you.
Good times. So try is Try, Cry is Kermit, Who is Dry, do you know?
I believe that is Dante.
Okay, that makes sense. And Long Island, is that
That's Rick?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So then we're just waiting for...
Anonymous.
Right.
I actually only knew all that because I happened to look at their team page earlier, and I'd seen some of the names in DM.
There you go. Right, so Pierre says thanks for playing tonight. So maybe actually it's a scheduling problem for Flo. They had a hard time scheduling for the rest of the week, perhaps? I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense for why they're playing on a Monday with a backup.
Yeah. Although, I mean, Seagull is no slouch at Soldiers, so they shouldn't have too many problems, I think. Like, given how strong they played.
That's definitely not a bad problem to have. Oh, we gotta use Seagull for this match.
Oh, man. Seagull. That guy. I mean, you can't even really comment on them, you know, not having played gpit together enough or something like that. That might come into play in, like, an IM or an open match, but these guys have all played together for, you know, so long on different teams over the seasons that you're not going to have, I think, the kinds of problems that would come from, you know, not being used to each other on gpit. Because it is, you know, a map that you need to be pretty well coordinated with your team on it. A lot of it does just come down to DM once the push gets underway, but you need to know what you're doing as a team to get your times in there really fast. And I don't think this should be a problem for either team. I think that both of them should, you know, be able to execute their strats pretty well and just come down to, like, who plays it out better.
Right, there's more than enough experience on both teams. And the very basics of Gravel Fit should be known to them.
Yeah. So I guess while we're still waiting for Anonymous to connect, what we can expect to... I mean, I haven't seen Flo play gpit at all because I haven't watched any of their scrims. If they even have had scrims in this map, I don't know. But I would expect to see the typical engineer defense on point B, just having a gun that you can move around like backside or maybe in some sneaky spot to help your medic live a suicide or something like that. But it's entirely possible that they'll opt for something weird, like just use 2 scouts. I mean, they're a very confident DM team, so, I mean, what the heck, just, like, have your scouts use an Uber well and you'll continually defend. So, we'll see what they opt to do here.
Right, playing scout can be somewhat difficult on Grapple Pit. especially around point B. However, from what I remember playing against Ruin and just looking at the statistics from his matches in the previous seasons, he really seems to excel on Gravel Pit as a scout.
Yeah, I think it's a really good map for Scout, especially like the B point. There is a lot of stuff that you can jump on, and there are enough health packs for you to, keep your health pretty high as long as your team has control over the cliff area. But just by jumping around like between the B roof and the shack and stuff like that, you can get a lot of damage in, and you can really do a lot of cleanup and help out your combo and Ubers. Just like as the Uber fades, you put a meat shot into the pocket soldier. That makes all the difference in the world.
Right, and one strategy we like to try to take scouts out of the picture on defense is to use that sentry gun and then force their Uber aggressively with our own Uber. And that doesn't really allow them to get into the gun. And that can sort of not allow scouts any room to work with.
That's sometimes why pushes out of C become popular, because the typical gun spot, which I'll just fly my camera over to right now, right here, even if you Uber against them on cliff with your Uber, unless you actually manage to block them in the doors, which is a very optimal result, it's not that easy to pull it off properly, because you have to Uber pretty quickly, so you have the risk of just popping while they back up. But if you manage to block them in the doors, then you pretty much have the perfect Uber, and they have to, back up and reset. Because the Uber is typically more of an advantage for the attack than it is for the defense, because it lets them clear the chokes, and that's what keeps the defense intact, really, is just the threat of chokes. So, I mean, practically all C is all about is like streaming in your spawns after you manage to clear the doors once. So if you don't take entry spam coming in with your faster spawns, you are able to cap, because, without entry spam, the defense has no advantage whatsoever.
Right, and there's some heavy mind gaming and positional wars when you're talking about that attack from C, where if you go a little bit too close to the door, the defending Uber can just go into you and force yours. Whereas if the defending team holds too close, you may be able to force their Uber while not popping yours. So, we'll have to see which combo can do a better job of making good use of their Ubers if they choose to hold aggressively on that C side.
Yeah. We'll see if we even see pushes from C. Oftentimes I opt not to do it, because I don't like to deal with the threat of a sniper or scout sitting in spawn and just harassing you as you move through, because it does slow you down a fair bit having to deal with spamming that, and it doesn't really cost the defense anything to do it, because, you pin a scout in spawn, big deal. As soon as, you leave to go fight at B, he's just gonna, run in as scout and come as cleanup. That's fine for him. And you need somebody to watch C anyways for the threat of it, so it is risky, but it does give you a good position, because the optimal position to cap B from is actually this cliff that I just flew over to. Because, as you can see from my viewpoint, if I just move a little bit forward, see all the health packs from B, so you can spam anywhere that the defense tries to take health, and your medic has an option to use this area to dodge in. So it's a strong position, and that's often why cliff Ubers are good. But it depends on a lot of things.
Yes, it does. And that sort of push was the basis of the popularized MMM push, where they would Uber in their demo men through.
I got the
what should we call this
door.
one? We should call this one 1.
Yeah, this is 1.
And then their soldier would come through 2 and meet up with the medic post Uber, while they would bring a heavy out of long and a scout out of short. While the heavy would control rock, and the scout would go meet up with the medic to take a buff and clean up.
Yeah, and essentially what their Uber accomplished was they killed the gun, they popped the enemy Uber with their demo man, and then the demo jumped to safety, and then the medic just used that 2-door with his soldier to, fight, and you can fight for a really long time with a combo and a choke, and then you have, you know, your flank coming in from the other side without a gun to worry about. It's a really strong play, especially because if things go badly, as long as they don't go too badly to the point where the other team can just run into your combo and kill you before you can run away, like your medic is safe, so you keep your Uber for the next push, and you can see if things are going wrong. All you need to do is back out your combo and dive onto the enemy medic, and if you kill him, then you have a huge advantage on the next push. Or, I mean, you can just frag people, and even if you go like 3 for 3, you have faster spawns, and your combo has control of Cliff. So their spawns can't group up with their team without taking spam, which is a weird kind of backwards scenario where the attacking team holds Cliff and gets entry spam onto the defending team, which, needless to say, is a pretty rough scenario for them.
Right, and that really is sort of the optimal Uber, where if you take in your demo men, kill the gun quickly, and then have position on Cliff after the Uber's over.
Yeah.
So you're looking to do that regardless of where you push in, but it's easiest to do with that style of MMM push.
Yeah, if you go long, you really don't have the option because your medic can't possibly get to Cliff in time. If you go from short, you can do it, but you have to be careful on the Uber timings because you can just get dropped on. But anyways, we're going to go live here, so I'm just going to take a look at what the defense is up to. It looks like it's going to be 1 NG, 1 sniper for our first defending round from HRG.
Mission begins in 60 seconds.
So Anonymous seems to be comfortable enough in the sniper to play it here. What about Flo? Do you think that either of their scouts would be comfortable sniping?
No, neither of them are the kind that strike me as all that much of sniper players. I mean, I'm sure they can do it, but I think their scout is generally stronger. We'll see if that works in their favor, if it works in HRG's favor. Because I'm sure Flo's just going to be trying to push aggressively, continuously, like we have seen them do in push maps and the like. And scouts do work well for that, but if HRG manages to slow it down and HRG manages to keep a gun up, then a sniper works really well, because the longer he has to shoot, the better it is for him. Let me just find where he is. Is he scoped at A? He's at C, actually. So he's already just in position to try for potentially a drop and just hassle the enemy combo if they opt for a push into the C side.
Right, and like you said, there's almost no downside to that. He can just take a shot, and then either he goes into spawn and it takes somebody camping him to keep him in there, or if they leave him and go Uber, he can just change the scout and join back in the fight on B before the Ubers are even over.
Yeah, and even has a teleporter, so he's perfectly fine with that. Although Pure just waited and spawned the entire time, so it looks like they're going to opt for a push onto B from spawn side. Ruin going heavy already. Let me find the combo. They're coming out of short or connector area. Let me just get some watching our blue. Okay. And I actually managed to pick up Rick without having to pop, although Pure now getting really low to spam. He's going to have to pop this soon. But no roamer pressure on them means he doesn't need any more spam and actually managed to hold it. Now they got the demo Uber onto the gun. They killed the gun and the engineer, and the teleporter. So I think Anonymous, it gets denied at Cliff by Hardblue. He didn't have a teleporter to come in, and he stayed on sniper. So kind of HRG just getting picked apart by this push, just dropping one after another. They managed to spam Pure a bit, but not enough to get him to pop because they didn't have control of Roof after Rick died so quickly. Ruin comes into the push, and he doesn't even have to do anything because the Uber was so ridiculously good that B just crumbled their first push really easily with no time killed, really.
Right, and this is why I prefer using the combo to force the Uber, because should it go bad, it's not going to be nearly as bad as, say, dropping somebody without forcing it.
Yeah, so now we have a big Uber advantage for Flo, making their move on to C here. It looks like they're going to lead Hardblue in this Uber. They pop through the sticks, and they're jumping for it. There's Heavy and Pyron point, which might be enough to buy some time, but lots of damage going out onto HRG, and they're going to have to get their combo up there right now if they want to stop this. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, so there's a 210.
Wow.
210?
Was it even possible to that cast in that?
Was HRG even in that round? Did they?
Yeah, one thing I would like to say is that if you use that sentry gun, there's really no reason to hold your medic there with Uber, because the only thing that's going to do is it's going to allow them to kill the sentry gun and force your Uber in a very rapid succession. So that Uber accomplished so much from Flow in such a short time frame because both the objectives that they wanted to take were just sitting there in that same area.
Yeah. Plus they bled their roamer at the start of the push, and then like everything went wrong for HRG on their defense. Really, like their Uber did nothing because the gun, like yeah, it's bad. Okay, so interesting from Flow. Ruins, they're actually split 3 and 3, and Ruins playing heavy at B.
I suppose they think that if they delay A any amount, it'll be impossible for HRG to cap in this time frame.
Yeah, and I mean, 210 is like ridiculously fast. Like you only get faster than that if you're like, sending scouts to both A and B at the same time, and then like meeting up on C. And yeah, they managed to actually kill Kermit. Strider trades with them, and actually Suit goes down as a result. The full combo from Flow comes over to defend A and actually pops the Uber. But I mean, like, I think HRG lost, man. I don't think they can cap.
Since they didn't cap A right away, I don't think it's possible at all. How long does A take if you get, say, a 4x on it? 30 something?
4x, it's like 24 seconds, I believe.
Okay, and B is the same?
Yeah.
So, they're already sort of running up against the theoretical limit right now.
Drop. I guess just trying to hold it as long as possible, give the optimal push, like getting forced.
Right, that was the only possibility they had of winning, was to wipe them at B without using the Uber.
Yeah. Or at least, like, using the Uber in a very effective way, but, now it's over. They're not even going to cap a point, so Flow showing a very dominating performance on gpit here. I'm actually curious to see if that 3-3 split is something that they, would do again in a more even game, or if that was just something they did because of the clock.
Mission ends in 30 seconds.
Right.
In fact, Seagull is still defending A against Dante. Or no, that's Herbley actually. Okay. There's the bomb that forces the Uber, so yay, we forced the Uber, but the round is over. So, wow, HRG just got owned.
Yeah, and I'd like to just talk again about that defense they had at B. Even after dropping Rick, I still would like to either see them take their combo in aggressively to force the Flow Uber before they got to the gun. And another option was they could kite their combo up to Cliff and perhaps force the Uber with spam as well as the gun, and then have their own counter Uber last a longer duration to hopefully get some frags back in their favor.
Yeah, basically what it came down to is they had two benefits against Flow in that fight. They had their gun and they had their Uber, and they just needed, they needed to trade one or the other of those for the Uber, and they traded both of them. So they threw away, what little chance they had of defending after having already dropped their roamer.
And especially when you give up all this ground, you don't really have a defender's advantage anymore, because the playing field's pretty even once you get outside of these tunnels. No one really has that big of a positional advantage, especially if you're staying on shady side with your defending combo.
Yeah, I mean the only advantageous position on that point is the cliff, basically, and that's it's tough to defend from there because they can still get point presence, and you don't have anywhere. You have to move your combo aggressively, get some damage in. So yeah, without the entry spam from the tunnels, they didn't have much going for them. So I'm gonna see if they change it up, or if they, I don't know if that Rick thing was like because they didn't have eyes on short or something, because they did have an NG and a sniper, so Rick was the only person who would be postured forward to watch doors. So I think they just didn't know where Flow was. He wasn't necessarily trying to force, he was just trying to find where they were, and he happened to find them in the worst way possible.
Right, and that's not too bad of a play if you do get the force, just having the roamer force it, but I feel like if it goes bad, then you're really sort of screwed.
Yeah, it's also kind of a low probability play. Like, I mean, if you take your combo forward and you Uber on them, they're going to have to pop, and you're going to get away okay, unless you take 10 years to make the pop. But whatever. If you go with your roamer, you're not necessarily going to make them pop, and you're certainly going to die. So, there's a risk there. So Ruin playing heavy again, but looks like they have both soldiers at B now, so a little bit of a different defense. But this is just a suicide counter. It looks like HRG either opting for a B push or just feeling out a suicide attempt. But they really get stuffed by spam, so it doesn't look like anything's happening there. Let's check out what's going on in A in the meantime. Looks like Soup and Sugar moving away from the point. And actually, here's a delayed suicide coming onto Pier, and he holds the Uber at 10 life, so balls of steel right there.
I didn't see what happened at A. How did that cap get stuffed?
Whoa, I don't know either. Okay, let me look at my console. Who died? Rick and Dante killed by Ruin. Oh, I don't know.
Well, one of the counters that's been explored to that suicide play is once they suicide, you can just go stop A.
Yeah, but I mean, A was stopped like while they were suiciding. I don't quite understand, and I watched like Soup walk back to B, so I'm not sure exactly. But anyways, now we do have a little bit of a fight going on over A. HOG has some time on the cap, but I mean, Alpha is not in this fight. Pure has heals on his team, so kind of a risky play from Flo, I would say, but a very strong play in that they're using the fact that Alpha didn't want to get forced by a roamer and just taking the combo there and saying, "What's up?"
Right, and that's the downside of not bringing your medic into A, is if the enemy team realizes it,
yeah,
they can just go clean you up.
And that's exactly what they're doing. This is kind of like metagaming on gpit has come a long way, like since the suicides started happening a few seasons ago, and then things like the split A cap and then things like stopping the A cap. This is just like a long response to that, kind of Flow throwing it back to say, well, in the old days, you just pushed to A with your combo and people didn't contest it, and now they're showing why. And like Pure popped his Uber, but it's been like what, 3 minutes or something, and they haven't capped the point yet, and they're not going to use the super advantage. Like, the one thing they have right now is they have Uber advantage, but they're going to cap A with it. Like, I think they have to force a fight with the enemy combo right now, or they're just going to have thrown away a lot of time for nothing.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen them perhaps push B there and try to take that out quickly with the Uber advantage, because the only thing that's gonna happen here is they're gonna cap A.
Actually, Flow's gonna come fight them at A.
Oh yeah, they're actually going back in on this. And did Rick get really low there? Is that what forced the Uber?
I'm not sure, but Try got juggled and killed, and actually Flow picking up all the frags here while Pure stays alive. So this might be the first time we've ever seen this in an invite match. I'm afraid to call it right now, but this could be a complete defense of both gpit points.
There's still an awful lot of time, but
yeah, and actually, as I say that, Flow's down to just two people, just Pure and Ruin fighting at A, and Ruin goes down. Pure is booking into his spawns. I think they're going to give it with that. I think they're going to give them A, but that's like, this A cap is taking like twice as long as Flow took for all the points in the first round.
Right, and again, this is because of the sort of strategy where the attacking team just keeps their medic in spawn to be super safe, and Flow is just saying, well, we have so much confidence, even if your medic is out, that we're willing to go fight A with our medic, and at worst it's an even fight for us, but at best we're going to delay you by minutes.
Yeah, this is like, and here's like a super aggressive Uber from Flow again. They're just Ubering into C before HRG gets their Uber and just killing everyone. So really showing a lot of dominance in this map. And what you're saying about like the safe play, keeping your medic in spawn, if you liken this to an RTS game, this is like you built a bunker and a tank on your high ground while your opponent fast expanded. Of course you're behind. They kept their medic in spawn, they didn't play risky at all, and meanwhile Flow is fast expanding over to A and just elaborating on them. So yeah, That's what's going on.
And every risk Flow has been taking has worked out perfectly for them. Perhaps due to DM or maybe just confidence. But as you saw, they Ubered out into C, and that could be, you know, that could work against you where you get forced. They allow the players to drop, but the medic stays alive. You know, then all of a sudden you're at a disadvantage. But they were confident enough to know that they could clean everything up, Ubering out into there.
Yeah, and while you were talking there, HRG actually made the classic fail play on gpit, kind of just feeling the time pressure because they know they need to cap faster. They have no hope of defending against Flow's onslaught, but they committed Alpha with no, like, they had no pick advantage, they had no Uber advantage, and he dropped out of long with 50% and then just immediately died, so they lost a lot more time. Now it looks like they're going to opt for a suicide while they build, and what's Pierre going to do? Well, I thought he was going to hide in point, but he's just going to go around buffing everybody. Flow just looking for where this is coming from, just looking to shut this down. Sugar on roof, doing some denial. Pierre takes a bit of damage, but I think he's okay, yeah. Ruin's still on heavy, actually, or on heavy again, I should say. He switched at one point.
This is what they showed on the previous push. You know, it's nice to bring out your whole team just to take some ground and let your jumpers get out of the choke and a little bit closer before having to commit. But there was absolutely no reason for them to drop Alpha there unless their initial jumps went really well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's, you know, you're still in plenty fine position to commit when you're just standing at the end of long, and you're way, way safer. So now we have Uber versus Uber. HRG opting for a heavy, so let's see what they manage to do here. Are they going to spam for a bit, or are they just going to take the Uber in and hope it goes well? We'll see what they manage to do. Actually take a ton of spam coming out of long. Is this another suicide actually? Try going down with no medic on him. Rick doing the same. Where's Alpha? Gonna Uber in after losing both the soldiers. This is not gonna work. That was really weird. Why did the soldiers go before the medic was there? And then why did the medic go after?
Perhaps it's just miscommunication or not scrimming. I mean, they did recently change up their lineup quite a bit.
That's true. And Alpha's like the backup med still, right? They have a different starter, I believe.
Sash?
I think so. I think, yeah, Sash is totally still playing. I think.
Well, we've experienced firsthand what it's like to scrim after changing up your roster recently.
Yes, it can indeed have these issues. Now, honestly, I don't think HRG is going to take B here because they're opting for crits, and I actually like this because, you know, they have time for 2 critzes. They have time to force the Uber, and then they have time to build another, and like maybe cap B in overtime, but we'll see what they manage to do. Actually, Kermit picking off Hardblue on the door, so that's kind of what we were talking about with the risk of the close hold, is that you can get popped, but Pierre wasn't with him, so he actually just died. Now here comes the crits. First stick misses, but he's got his eyes onto the demo man. Kills Soup. That's actually should be enough for HRG to take B here. I mean, an Uber heavy, that's not going to put any pressure on them at all.
The heavy can't punish them for having crits.
And now they just need to play it smart and collapse onto this combo together.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit of missed timing. That Scout went onto the heavy before the combo had a chance to come back in the cliff, but it looks like it won't matter here.
Yeah, it looks like
HRG should be able to clean this up.
Alpha, as long as Alpha lives to his soldier, which he should, and he does, this should be good enough for C as well, because it's a crits against nothing. So, barring like death to a sticky trap on the door, which they should just take their time to clear, like just let a soldier go in first, and if he dies, whatever, just Uber the demo man and let him crit away. And they're actually going to go. Well, actually,
I'm not
Flow's going to come
at all
in.
that Flow's deciding to go back in on this.
I think that's just confidence. They like wanted to force the crits or something.
Right. Well, since it was crits, if you can get onto the team fast enough, the crits won't be nearly as effective as an Uber.
Yeah, I think he should have just held it there. Honestly, like they didn't go off those kills they had, so now they're kind of behind again coming into C, but C is a point that you can work down. It's just a matter of if they can play well enough to do it, and if Alpha can survive the Uber that's going to come in to counter this crits.
Will we see Flow take it in aggressively, or will they just try to I think they will take it in aggressively. This has been their strategy this entire game.
Yeah, they're super close. Here's the pop, and the crits pops at the same time, actually. Might have been better just to like bait out that pop and let the crits fall, but you know, this is okay, because Alpha should live, and he does. So now they have...
right, so it's basically the same as having crits in, and then resetting, and then going back in with your crits advantage.
Flo kind of just like forcing the issue there, saying, Alpha, if you get out of position, we're going to kill you, and then we're going to have even more time on our side. So they just need to build this crits and then crit again and have good crits. If they kill the heavy or like the demo man or something like that, then they can make something happen. But Rune's not going to sit back and let himself be killed. Rune's going to spin up and go attack them at A. Sugar goes down, but they managed to kill Try. I'm not sure if it matters too much though, because we're just going to see the crits come into Kermit here. And then, I mean, somebody needs to clear those stickies for him. Like, they're going to, oh god, they're not fast enough. The other team's going to get Uber. Oh. Wow, they had like 10 seconds and they didn't.
They did have, the window was there, and you know, the first thing that has to come to your mind as a combo player when you have crits is that you have to use it right when you get it.
Yeah, they did kill Soup with that, and they have Alpha and Kermit in a good position to spam this point, but Kermit gets picked off, and Alpha might be a trailing frag here, but no, he has a scout to help him out, so both scouts actually coming in. Anonymous with the defense. Anonymous goes down, but perhaps, yeah, Try stepping up to the plate. So now because Alpha had to run away alone, now they don't have that advantage anymore, so they missed that like 10-second window that they had, because they essentially stickied out and nobody cleared the sticks for their demo man, so they had to wait. Like, they need to be in the doors at 100, not like, okay, we got 100, time to start thinking about pushing, because you'll see what just happened there. The enemy combo Ubers and you have no chance to do anything. So the only way they win this now is if they kill multiple people on this crits, and the Uber either gets dropped or, you know, doesn't save people, but Uber actually comes into them, and I mean, what can you say? They have a pain train soldier on point with a demo man, but it's still 6 people up from Flo, so I don't think anything is going to go wrong for them here. Pure going out with the needles to try to chase down Alpha, and Rune should have left them to fight, but there you have it, 2 points and no cap on C.
Yeah, typically a crits push is a 2-part push where you force them, you get out safely, and then you go back in once they don't have Uber. And they succeeded at the first part, you know, even though Flo Ubered into them, they had an Uber exchange, which they probably didn't need to pop, but then they failed to even give themselves a chance at part 2, and they took themselves back into a part 1 situation where they had to force the Uber and then reset one more time, and they eventually bled out all their time without ever getting a chance to really execute a second part push.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely one error. Like, they could have taken that C had they executed that a bit better, but like, I mean, Flo's just kind of stomping on them, to be honest, with what we've seen with like that 3-minute A defense and a 2:10 attack in the first half. So rough stuff for HRG in this match.
And it seems like Flo has sort of taken that old check six style of play and really just applying it on any map at any time. They're willing to fight 6v6 no matter what situation they're in.
Yeah. Now I will make a comment here about what they're doing, because we kind of criticized HRG for not bringing Alpha into the fight, but Pierre's sitting in spawn as well, and this is a little forgivable for Flo, because they're doing it right off the top of the round. So like, you're obviously not going to have your medic at A at the start, because they can just see it and take B before you get back into position. But
well, I also believe that Flo's,
well, they're more confident.
They're so confident that, you know, if HRG did bring their medic into A, it's very likely that HRG would have been forced by the members of Flo capping.
Yeah, and they had so much cap time because they went on there immediately. So here's that Uber from Flo forcing the Uber and killing the gun again, and Pierre landing in the old MMM position, far side of cliff at 2, and he actually just runs out of immediately to go heal other people, but huge cleanup. Like essentially, HOG's Uber did nothing there because it didn't protect the gun. It didn't keep Flow from running in any other doors. They kind of just sat there and lost. And Soup has their spawn stickied. Oh, but the fire goes from the other side. So Soup goes down. Alpha's actually critzing on defense here. I mean, at this point, they're just doing, like, whatever they can.
So there's a minor victory for HRG.
Yeah, they kill Rowan. Oh, there's no C.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Okay, so
Mission begins in
that was
60 seconds.
extremely one-sided. Flo showing us some nice stuff, some good calls, and HRG kind of just getting out-fragged and outplayed in almost every way, unfortunately for them.
Right, and I think a lot of it comes down to their really passive defense on point B. I mean, their attack wasn't very good either, but I just really didn't like that passive defense on B. It just goes to show you how important it is to get in really good quality scrims. And I feel like if they had tried that in a scrim, they would have been punished really hard for it and felt they need to change something.
Mission begins in 10 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, this is Monday of GPIT week, so I wouldn't be surprised if neither
Right,
team has even
that's true.
scrimmed this map this season. Obviously, these teams have been together with at least some of... Okay, I mean, Flow is a new team this season technically, but these guys have played together before. And HRG, I think most of their players are the same as last season, just a few changes, or...
Yeah, they replaced their scout Omar with Dante on scout, which is sort of, you know, he's a very similar style of scout, very DM. He sort of rose to fame in the DM server.
Right.
And let's see, Kermit is on demo instead of Rick, which that wasn't the case until 2 games ago, I believe.
It was a recent change in any case.
Right, Trekkie switched out on Medic.
I guess, yeah,
And,
it's enough changes that the scrims definitely would have helped them just like get more used to each other on GPIT, and also maybe had them see some of these situations, like getting punished for the suicide and, you know, getting Ubered into, and like committing your medic versus not committing your medic and stuff like that. And also, I guess since Alpha is the backup med, he, like if they had scrimmed, which I feel like they haven't, then he probably wouldn't have played with them. But you know, in any case, well played by
right.
Flow, and like certainly HRG is a strong team, but Flow is just, you know, that much better than them that they can make GPIT look like this and make me wonder if there's going to be a full hold of all points.
Yeah, I did spend some time at the beginning of the game commenting on how Ruin is so good on Scout on Gravel Pit, and instead he spent almost the entire game on Heavy.
Yeah, I think the only time he went Scout was when they moved over to defend A. He was Heavy at first, and then he died, and then he came back into the fight as a Scout.
Okay, so what do you think about that that Heavy defense on B?
I think
What could HRG have done differently against that?
I think, well, the call to switch to crits on their part at the end kind of felt to me like it was just, you know, a desperation play, like we need to like get something happening quickly. But crits is awful against sentries, and it's really, really, really good against heavies because, you know, they can't possibly dodge the shots. So I think maybe critzing into B would be a good option against the heavy, but it is a tough thing to do because if you opt for either long or short, you can't back up from the same direction for your medic, and like you were saying earlier, a crits is a 2-part push. But still, I think it's a better option than just Ubering because a heavy does provide that, like, you know, strong jump denial kind of thing that a gun does. But it is more vulnerable to crits because you can just crit and 2-shot kill the heavy, no problem.
And very similar to a Sentry again, it's just so much health you have to go through before you can even sort of force an Uber out of the enemy team.
Yeah, maybe a sniper would have been an option as well, but like honestly, I think the heavy would just hide, and then the sniper would just get a scout running into him because they still have a scout. They still have their roaming soldier. It's a mobile defense despite having the heavy. It's like not as mobile as like having two scouts, but more mobile than having an NG. So they have the ability to go chasing people basically. Like when they're Ubering into doors, the heavy can be right behind them, so that when the counter Uber or whatever comes back in, and as it's fading, there's like a 450 health heavy right there that says, nope.
That's never a good sight. You just spent all your rockets, trying to get health out of people during an Uber, and then a heavy comes in.
Yeah, it's kind of like why people run heavies on last. Like the proper way to use it is you just use your Uber in, and then when the Ubers fade and everybody has shot each other a bunch and everybody's reloading, you bring the heavy. The heavy never reloads. Heavy's really good at fighting people that are out of ammo. Anyways, some good games tonight, so I'll mark up these VODs with the times if you missed any of the games, so you can watch just the games, or if you want the pre-game commentary, that'll be in there as well. And thanks everybody for watching. I'll probably be casting other matches. I'll be posting them on NATF2. Maybe I'll make like a Steam group or something just for like when I'm casting on my stream. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the casts. Hope you enjoyed the games. They were kind of one-sided, but still an entertaining watch. Any closing thoughts?
Not really. I feel like even though they were one-sided, we still taught a few lessons on gpit, on how things went wrong for HRG.
Yeah, hopefully that'll come in handy since it is gpit week. It is an interesting map, and I say this VOD was fairly educational despite being so one-sided. Like obviously you can't copy everything Flow does because they're doing it off of these really tight timings, but there's some mistakes that were made and some nice plays that were made that anybody can apply to their gpit. So good games. I'll catch you all next time.